Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another session of our weekly webinar. I'm Bernard Ho, standing in for Mr. Nai Keng Hua, who is engaged this morning with another project. Now, before we start, let's do some administration. If you are unable to hear the speaker clearly, or the speaker is speaking too fast, or cannot understand what the speaker has said and need further explanation, please raise your hands and let us know. If you have questions to ask the speaker on the subject, please write it down in the questions and answer box. Please do not write your question in the chat box. It is very difficult for the speaker to go backward to look for your questions. You can follow and find us on social media, in our website, Facebook, YouTube, and Telegram. You can view and download all our past webinars and news from these social media sites. You need not ask for the speaker's literature. We record all our speakers' presentations and place it on this social media for your future reading and reference. What are we going to talk today? Today, we are going to talk on the subject of business coaching. As an owner or business owner, you are in a unique position. You are responsible for both the vision and the execution of your ideas. The catalyst for seeking out a coach is a feeling, often vague. Often, it's a dissatisfaction with your business. There are many scenarios in such situation, but wanting answers is a common theme. Often, you may ask why I feel unfulfilled. How do I choose which ideas and projects to pursue? What can I do to get unstuck and reach the next level of success? As a business coach, that will help you to step back, look around you, create meaningful brainstorming session, and assess where you are right now. Only then can you decide where you want to go and create a plan to get there. William is a seasoned professional business leader with over 25 years of Asia Pacific and Southeast Asia working experience since 1983. William has delivered numerous local and overseas learning and development programs and has led various of business integration and M&A projects. These projects resulted in effective human capital development improvement and business transformation, OD practices, in-company project management, and business leadership change management development. He has led, consult, and coached Fortune 500 companies, senior executives, including board directors, delivered customized programs, business consultation for MNCs and SMEs, locally in Singapore and regionally in Asia Pacific region. This morning, we are honored to have William to share with us his vast experiences on business coaching. William, the stage is yours.
Hi, thank you, Bernard. Good morning, everyone. Can you hear me? Yep, fine. Bernard, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. Okay, very good morning to all of you. Basically, I'm William here. Great that Reveres are able to share with me and able to allow me have this opportunity to interact with you all about this program. Let me share screen with you all. Okay. Okay. Can you see the screen? Let me put to the.
Okay.
Can you see the screen?
Yes.
Okay, great. Now, this will be a topic, a quick one, hopefully an hour. we'll try to cover as much as we can. Basically, we're going to talk about business coaching. Why are we in the business coaching nowadays? A lot of organization and business already move into a different form of learning. You may have heard of some terms so-called learning by doing. Yeah. In the past, I used to work for companies like General Electric, which I will share you later a bit of my profile, whereby projects are being done, and effectively we use the business coaching method to help individual and teams to complete their project in a way whereby they're able to effectively completing it. Because in this coaching session, later we'll share you some skill set and some approach that you can take look into it. For instance, I will share you one approach called the CARE, C-A-R-E. Okay, I will share you later what does that mean by C-A-R-E, this abbreviation. Yeah. Then there'll be creative conversation with your staff and your team member. And other than that, I'll share you some experience sharing and followed by some Q&A. So there is dilemma mentioned before. Before we learn anything, the mind is like a parachute. Okay, it has to work best when it's open. You know, parachute that we're coming down from the sky. Yep. So that's where we can collectively get information and get the learning. Now, a bit of what today we're going to cover did Bernard did mention. The key focus basically is about the business conversation that you're going to enable your people that are being coached and to come out of their own ideas. Okay, at times you may have some ideas, but coaching allowed them to actually think of more ideas and much more effectively and engage them in a way that they're able to speak up, yeah, and forward on a business challenge or in a way of getting things done through a high commitment way, yeah. The rest of benefit I will cover later when we go through, yep. So a bit of myself, basically this is my background, a quick one. So those are companies I used to work for in the past. You can see company at CP Group. Very recently, I was from CP Jurapokomham in Thailand. Yep. Stand chart and run a company in the next step system, which is an IT company doing AI and digital marketing. Nevertheless, I also worked in General Electric for many years. Yep. Being the leadership development in the CLD Cottonville. Yeah. Company I work in Intel, IBM, GSK, today known as formerly known as Big Chum, and Motorola. So those are background of myself in the region. So for me, basically I have a tagline, infusing technology into sustainable development and workforce management. Yeah, that will be my focus. The rest are all my credentials and so on. Some of these companies I used to work with through my projects and so on. Yeah, you can see a list of them, local and foreign. Yeah. I have a counterpart in Shanghai that we work on certain projects also. Yeah. But because of this project setting, business coaching become important. Whether you are an individual working for a company or a professional working on your own as a consultant, or maybe you yourself are within an organization to help a team, business coaching become important aspect. Now let me go into the aspect of so-called the coaching definition, because I think coaching encompasses quite a broad area, because a lot of us thought coaching is only one type. Later you'll see there's a list of it. Yeah, there will be a ton, about almost 6 or 7 of that coaching style that is slightly different. In the ICF, so-called International Coaching Federation, what they have stated that organizations have embraced the practice of coaching to grow their human resource or human capital through their goals and mission. That's a very key statement. It's because of the organization goals and mission. As what Bernard did mention earlier about the mission, vision, and so on. Yeah. So manager as yourself as leader, okay, you use the coaching approach basically as a management, as a leader, okay, to drive, okay, to help to equip your people with a certain skill set so that they allow them to be able to communicate and to commit. These are 2 key things that within a coaching that usually you're looking for: commitment and communication, okay, effectively. So as well as the influence also sometimes of the own career path, yeah, individually. So moving on, so what sort of coaching do we have? So we can see a list of coaching that you can see here. We have business coaching, we have career coaching, okay, which I will touch on it later on as one of the program coming up in June that we're going to launch. Is a 2 days over 4 weekend program for career coaching. Then we have executive leadership coaching, health wellness coaching, life coaching, spiritual coaching, and team coaching. Okay, now let me share you basically the difference. Business coaching actually usually we ties on with a very broad organization kind of project needs that tie align with the whole organization in terms of achieving certain mission and purpose. Okay, now business coaching not only reside sometimes in the organization only within your own staff. For my instance, basically when we were working in Motorola, yeah, we are programmed so-called the total excellence, okay, program, which actually involve what called TCS, total customer satisfaction program. We involve supplier and customer in part of our whole journey of quality excellence and development. Now we created projects. Okay, this project, part of it is our staff are also part of the team and also include the customer and supplier in it. So we use the business coaching method to allow us to focus on certain improvement, okay, of the production, improvement of our services, improvement of their so-called the quality expected by the customer. Yeah. So it like a mini, it is like something like a QCC, but basically the facilitator is not just a content. We got two facilitator. One is a business coach, which is more like looking into the welfare, the connectivity, the relationship among the team member, while the other facilitator are more of a technical leader, so-called they care about the content part. How will the project be executed? By what time frame and so on and so forth. So at one end, we have someone who looking the relationship, the behavior managing of the team, coordinating and communicating and making a commitment going on, even during the situation that it could be very adverse, difficult, and so on and so forth. Yeah. And the business coach also built as a bridging. So some call so-called become a resource advocates or resource bridging for the team to look for opportunity and overcome difficulties. That is the job of the business coach. Yeah, which many companies lack of that. They have the technical coach, but do not have that so-called the business coach. Yeah. Similarly, when we were in General Electric GE, there will be some called Six Sigma program you may heard of. So you have the so-called the black belts, yeah, and then you have the team who are trained in Six Sigma. So the black belt is a professional actually doing the business coaching, cross business unit to look for resources and opportunity. Yeah. So basically that is a business coach. That closely tying to the team coaching. That's why I highlighted both of them are in red. These two so-called the team coaching and the business coaching is very close. The rest will be career coaching for more for individual. Those tie back to the performance of an individual or university student looking for opportunity to build their career into the future. Yeah. Or maybe for someone who are doing recruitment in the field of headhunter or as an individual to coach whereby someone need of looking to change a career switch or career opportunity. Yeah. Then nevertheless, there's another one very popular so-called executive or leadership coaching. This is more for individual that organization identify that they need a skill set to better able to manage a business so that they will individually have someone to coach them or even mentor them for certain reason of leadership development so that they allow them to able to be aligned with the organization or to build a confidence or maybe for succession planning. Some companies have succession planning, so they require someone to come in to help identify certain group of management or executive to take up onto certain portfolio into the future, to get into the future. So mostly the executive coaching leadership is about the future upgoing, going to how the person going to perceive the change in the business. Now, health and wellness coaching, this I think is quite popular. Yeah, about food, about supplement. You can see a lot of them in social media that they spread around how they help you to prepare yourself in that arena of the health and wellness development. Yeah, even for children. Some coaches that go down to the school, like in Singapore, they teach the children how to eat well, take the right food, and develop themselves even for that purpose selection. Yeah. Then life coach is sometimes is for social, okay, building up relationship for families. Yeah. And some because of the family issues or some family needs, okay, they need to have the kind of life skill coaching. Now, some life skill coaching I ever seen is even for traveling. There are traveling coach with individual or family. They are not the travel agent, but rather it's like a life coach. When they go to a place of visit, they not just tell about the story. They also tell about the life of why the place is present. Okay, how this place was developed and how that can be translated into our life and so on and so forth. Okay, so they will explain with it. So these are some sort of very special people that goes along with the family or individual to open up their mind. Where do they looking into opportunities? Yeah. The other one is spiritual coaching. I think this most of us have let's say have your faith or your religion. You go to your place of religion practice. There'll be someone to look forward to. Could be a part of that association. They may coach you in terms of how this interpretation of the teaching like going to practice and so on. Yeah. So these are the kind of coaches that we've seen in life. Okay. But today we're going to talk about business coaching. It's about a life project, ongoing. You need to prepare the team to complete it and moving on. Okay. So that will be also part of it. In a lot of the business coaching, we talk about values. Okay. The value coaching is one key part that I would like to stress on it is about value-based coaching. It's actually incorporated into the business coaching. It's important because it's allowed you to know exactly the individual and the team, how they behave, so-called collaboratively. Now with the COVID-19, because of the so-called the lockdown, okay, there will be instances that we look into. People are not going to work as before under the shared economy, but into the so-called a closed economy or isolated economy. So the company will looking at people working in teams and collaboration, collaborative teamwork. So the value-based coaching will allow them to look at it, what value this team has over the other team, that they can work together hand in hand. Okay, that's one way. Or maybe during a situation of merger and acquisition, okay, M&A, A company and B company, when they're coming together, what sort of common value do they have so they can work together? So it's something that is missing. Okay, so the success of the post integration, okay, of a company working together, the business coaching become important to identify the value first. What are the instances that they can work together? So sometimes the business coaches act as a change agent. Okay, so nevertheless, coaching is a universal language. Okay, it's about change and learning. Remember this, regardless of all these seven different kind of coaches. The thing is that coaching is about creating a university language meant to create change, okay, the outcome, and also to develop learning. Okay, that is by CNN. That's a statement. Yeah. Now I'm going to share you this called so-called connecting with the people. Okay, care. So what are the action or the approach that you will take as a business coaching in your mind or frame? First thing, basically you must be able to connect with the business and the people. So in other words, when you're coming into a business, whether you are in the business already or you are outside of the business, get to know the business and the people. Of course, the people is about the culture, the business is about their mission, what are they going to do. Even you are in a company, for instance, I used to work for General Electric. We are being appointed, sometimes assigned to another business group. I used to work for General Electric International. Sometimes we are being appointed to GE Plastic, GE Lighting, different group of business, or GE Engine. Okay. When we went there, we don't speak like just a General Electric person that we know, but we must in depth know the business. So what GE Engine is all about? Okay, what are they doing? So I know the context of it. Then I know the people. Okay, we do not assume that all the people within the same organization behave the same. So the people from GE Engine think that very differently from the people that we used to work with. So we have to contextualize it. So this is called connecting. So in other words, building the relationship. Now, once you build the relationship, you need to understand how do they work. So before you formulate your coaching approach and so on, you must know who connected to who, how they communicate, how the reporting like, who are the stakeholder. So you need to assess the people and the process. So the process not just about the work, it's about the communication. Yeah. Now, once you know that, when they have a situation, the project now, basically, how can we relate, choose the right people at the right time with the right approach for them to tackle a different situation, or invite them. Sometimes we coach them to invite them to participate. There are people who may be quiet. Usually generally there are two types, introvert and extrovert people. So how can we mix them and make them to be a very effective team? So this is called relating. So able to identify the talent, the strength in them and putting them together. That's called relating. Okay, you should look into the so-called talent map we're creating. Okay, in the detail of the program, actually you learn some tools. There are some called talent map and bonding and so on. Yeah, there's some tools for you. Yeah, and relationship kind of diagnostic. Yeah, the different way of identifying the people. And this is very powerful, especially relating to people when doing a sales, when doing a tender. I ever worked on one project with Philips Singapore. We do a tender that's back in many years back, 2003. They won $150 million project. I was part of the business coach as an external person, putting the right talent, and they won that tender because we put the right people in. They presented to the government, and then that project was fantastic because we know what exactly the situation like during then. Now the next one is establishing the people practices, meaning that this is sustaining it. Okay. Once you know the people, how they work, how the process like, and what is their outcome, and what is the situation to be like, you need to keep that momentum. Okay, so you need to establish some sort of a deployment policy, ongoing practices to allow them. For instance, you found that okay, this group is maybe a lot of the engineering or whatever thing. Okay, I may pick up some practices like total productive maintenance. Okay, or maybe just in time, there is more for technical, or some leadership practices that align to them. Because leadership practices, you may know there's not one type. There are many approaches. Okay, it could be people driven, it could be business driven, and so on and so forth. They're transformative kind of leadership, and so on and so forth. Yeah. So these are something that you put into the team to guide them, or the organization to guide them, become a practice that they're familiar with. Of course, this comes with tools that are common. Remember, we mentioned that coaching is about creating a common universal language. Tools itself speaking the same language. Tools may, example, involve in some sort of simple tools like SWAP, QFD, quality function deployment. These are common tools that put into place. Like Toyota, very successfully they did it because it created a common practice among them using QFD, quality function deployment. Okay, so that is establishing the people and practices. Next, okay, so I try to translate very quickly what I just said. So basically, connecting the business is about the people, okay, and knowing the business. This is how are you going to do it. So basically, you need to do engagement. High-level business program development, you can create some program. You must involve sometimes supplier and customer as a partnership program. Okay, these are the how thing, okay? And then you need to develop cross-business functional development also. So these are programs. So through this program, there's a platform. You created a common platform for them to able to engage. The word is engage. You know, engaging is like putting things together so that they can work together hand in hand. So these are some area you think about as a platform. This is the how thing. Okay. So the next one, assessing. What do we have for assessing? So basically, it's about the people and process. Okay. So the people and process. Okay, what skill set do they have? Remember, I mentioned about the talent mapping itself. This is something you should be able to learn. So do people in each of the position have them? If do not, how do we have them? Okay. So each of the people in the project itself or within an organization, they do have some sort of skill set. We need to identify them and put them together. Okay. And we look for the positive side. We don't look at their weaknesses. In other words, we look at their strength. Many of the time companies say, oh, they have their weakness, we send them for training. To my understanding and my experience, We usually train people who are already good in that, or maybe they are doing it. We want them to be a better person so that when they come together, they become excellent. Okay. So that we only look for the skill set they're good at, then we develop them. That is something key I've been using. Yeah. The other one is the process, the processes that are in place, okay, that allow new process to come in so that you allow, oh, there's a spelling mistake down there. Okay, your business, this keyword. There's a spelling mistake here. Okay, it's business achieve excellence. Okay, and maybe some program to drive yourself. For instance, if your company adopt ISO 9000 or Megan Borish Award kind of scoring system, or maybe you're doing supply chain using SCOR. It's a supply chain kind of organization way of measuring a supply chain, or maybe some sort of ISO 9000, ISO 27000, yeah, or environmental. Those are so-called business achieve excellence that you can break it in and be part of that. This is to create, remember earlier I said, common language. So with the common language, you can able to drive. Now I remember I was doing working for Stack Chippack. Is a company between Stack and Chippack. Chippack is a Korean company. Stack basically is a Singapore doing testing company. When they acquired the company, Singapore company acquired this company, they went through a phase of change. I was the OD director coming in, so that was the process we used, basically to integrate them to achieve a common area, because they have one common excellent area they're looking at from both company. Okay, which all these cases can be shared later on how they did it, and successfully we're able to integrate them through the kind of business coaching. We created pockets of business coaches to help them to pull them together. Okay, I will not say that there's only one business coach. You can't. You have different business coaches at different time, so that they were able to rotate and share their viewpoint, but they will common approach. Okay, though their approach may be different. I mean, I won't say different. Their approach may be slightly different, but their common focus should be the same, so that we allow them to see things from different perspective. So business coaches within the organization normally go through a selection process to identify their strength to help the team itself at different juncture of the project. Yeah. So the tools here is important to allow them to properly execute the role so that they allow them to able to move on. So the key part here is to leverage on your business operational excellence initiative that you do have. Yeah, I did mention a lot of things like Six Sigma, QFD, deployment, develop champion to coach, and so on and so forth. Okay, this is a part where you're assessing the people to deploy the people in that way after you assess. Now, this is a situation I mentioned earlier about the situation. It may be different. Like the one I mentioned about Philips, they happen to do a tender and so on. Yeah. So we need to select the right observation, the people when they're doing a dry run, presenting it and so on. We also think about the data-centric data they're going to present, okay, that have an implication on the receiving part. Yeah. Then you also need to have the style of management to stimulate the people, to stimulate them so that they're able to support and to move on with the project they're doing and to sustain it. So this is about reinforcing the relationship among them. Okay, so depend on the kind of situation, because when Philips you are doing the tender, before that you're putting the team together so they speak the same language. Yeah. Then after that, we also coach them how to build relationship with government bodies. What do government body agency looking for, and how do they really have some expectation and vision for the kind of project. And one of the key things that to do, how to do it, usually we use some in-house success stories. Yeah. For that instance, because we use one of these Philips leader, okay, we customize it and contextualize it, talking a story of a business leader in Taiwan, how he overcome difficulties. Okay, when the time when Philips is the one who actually came up with the tape recording. Okay, but eventually they also become a leader in the CD technology domain, because the leader saw something, but that was from Taiwan, but not from Holland. Okay, and someone from Asia that lead the change, and it was a very successful in-house story. How the change that came about that built the people confident. Here, I mentioned before, is to sustain the confidentiality, the confidence of the team as well as building the relationship. Yeah. Last but not least, this is important, adopting. because this is about sustaining it further, okay, about sustainability and success. So you need to think about benchmarking. For instance, like Toyota, you can see that they use tools to drive it. And they also created a museum, a Toyota museum. Your child opportunity, you can travel to, I think it's Nara, there in Japan, Nara. There is the Toyota factory is located. They use that to actually develop the people. Of course, like Motorola, GE, even DHL, they move that around. They call it corporate university. So corporate university does play a part of that, to showcase certain practices they are using. Okay, so they were able to enforce that from the outside in rather than from inside out, because a corporate university sometimes they stand in between the organization and the outside world to bring in, like example, working very closely with the university to bring some best practices with to the organization. Yeah, so you can see competitive benchmarking, the guide, and also building the performance and so on for the organization. So the coach here basically is to bring in value that so-called best practices. Okay, they do here basically some benchmarking. Yeah, of course within in-house, as I said, both inside out, outside in way approach, and creating innovative thinking. Okay, they need to create that within the team to allow them to adopt the kind of thinking to open up. Now this part is not the last part, is to allow them to sustain. In other words, when they see the pockets of projects are being done, the coach here got one part to play. Where I use the word establishing the people practices is to sustain. We created, remember I mentioned about that earlier, called the champions of coaches. Yeah. Here is whereby we're going to identify further business coaches from the project. So that allow these business coaches to propagate, to grow further project team within the organization. So we sustain that. So think about this area is not the last, but it's always a beginning for a new project. They're able allow the people to think about new things to do, think of creative way of doing it, keep think a way of continuous improvement. So we created pockets of business coaches. Eventually, they will be matured into experienced coaches. Okay, business coaches. That's how this part called adopting come about. Okay, when the adopt mean the practices will be sustaining. You all can type in some questions as you go along if you do have. Okay, so this is one part we call about the care. Okay, next I'm going to talk about the conversation part, which is another important part. This creative conversation is part and parcel across the whole process. You saw CARE, the care part. So during the conversation, what does a business coach do? Okay, most business coaches have to think about opening the thinking, then exploring the idea, then closing it. Okay, it's called the divergent and convergent thinking. It's not new. Today, you may heard about people talking about design thinking. Okay, in fact, actually, it's generated from system thinking. When you think about system thinking, all the while, there will be a divergent and convergent. Meaning that when you talk in a way whereby you welcome all the new way of thinking things. So this is conversation. So it's a creative way of thinking and engaging the people. So think about it openly. What do they have? Okay, that will be taught in the actual course itself. What sort of style or language? What sort of approach? How can we make use of the people in the team to open up and to create more of this so-called divergent thinking? Then later on, we go into the emerging thinking, whereby they actually, example, working with customer and supplier. How can we explore from them, getting them involved? So you can see that so-called the explore part is about emerging thinking. That's where during your benchmarking, especially, okay, the last part of the so-called engaging part of them, you need to really get something that is in them that allow them to speak out because they are familiar. Okay, they are familiar with something. Yeah, talk about something they are familiar with. It's easier to start off with. So that's where you explore familiarity, for example. And this requires some high-stake decision making because you know what are the focus eventually going to take. Yeah, you go and do some mapping and so on and so forth. Yeah, up on the process. Of course, some of you have ever seen those balance scorecard. They call it strategic mapping. when you do the strategic mapping, that's where you're doing the explore actually. Yeah. So you link up all the KPIs, the development, and so on. We're exploring opportunity. Then after that, you zoom in. Okay, you close it, called convergent thinking. So in other words, those of you who are familiar with QFD, quality function deployment, that's where they zoom in. After they map up the how and the what together, they zoom in, they put some rating, some score onto each of that process. Then they identify which are the focus, and then they do a benchmark. Okay, the QFD look at some way. That's where you're coming in to zoom in what are called the important over the urgency. Okay, sometimes. So these are kind of conversation you want to create throughout the whole process of the care. Okay, throughout the process of the care. Yeah, this is building that. So in other words, you can look at it in picture form, just to give you an idea. So stimulus, throwing out to everyone the idea. Once you have idea with the facts coming back, because you are giving the opportunity, you entrust the team members to give you idea and go back and find. Now, one simple way to start off this, okay, to develop this type of thinking or this mood. What I did in my organization when I senior executive, CP Group and so on. CP Group is a Thai company, yeah, organization. Some of you are familiar. Cholo Pukumem. I created people open up because as a Thai culture, some of them are quite close. They would not like to talk much. They thought that, oh, the boss are the one who speak. Will be a more complacent, not to speak up and so on. But I changed a bit. Told the chairman basically, well, work closely with the chairman of the CP group, saying that yeah, the chairman wanted them to open up, but because of the culture. So what we did is that we give his subordinate to read a book. Okay, it could be a leadership book or anything that deal with organization and so on. Yeah, some idea. So they're given the idea through a book. Okay, the storybook or maybe a book. After that, during the meeting, even before the start of all the meeting, each individual to share what have they learned from the book. They do a summary of the book and give ideas. That is the facts. Now we pick up the answer from all the books, which all these books have certain idea the organization are looking for. So we internalize them through their reading and understanding, and they're coming back with an idea through the facts, which is from the book itself have been endorsed. Okay, so that's where you generate the idea. So here we narrow down those ideas to a single solution based upon the book collectively they have all read. We come to certain common things. Okay, some books you may heard of before by Jim Collins. Okay, Good to Great and so on. These are very good books that you can draw out the ideas. That way you get the answer. Yeah. So next one, basically you can look at all these light bulbs. Wow, there are a lot of light bulbs basically here. Okay, so if I ask you describe a light bulb, if you're using a convergent thinking, okay, what will it be like? If you're talking about divergent thinking, which one will it be like? Okay, you can type on your group chat there later. You can check the answer. I'll just give it to you. Okay. While you're doing that, get a minute of reflection. Okay, I give you a minute of reflection here. Okay, a moment of quiet. Okay, you think about it. Now you got two set of light bulb. On your left is a group of light bulb. On the right is another set of all the light bulb. Which one do you think is more similar to convergent thinking? Which one is more similar to the divergent thinking? Okay. A quiet moment, you think about it, you can type in your chat group just to think, oh, this is the one. Okay, then I will give you the answer. Now you also think about some questions to ask at this juncture. Okay, because I'm going that pace. Yeah, giving you a snapshot. Okay, done, good. Okay, I give you an answer. So you see the group of light bulbs. I'm using my cursor to touch on this one. The three light bulbs you have. When you're talking something similar, this is called convergent thinking. A few answer is a few similar idea. That's called convergent. Okay. Well, you're on your right, you can see a series of bulbs. There are so many LEDs and so on. This is called divergent thinking. Many different ideas, but there's still all light bulbs. Huh? Okay. So example, what light bulbs will fit? These are so many different kind of light bulbs to fit. Okay. So divergent is about thinking out. Okay, and thinking in. Okay. Okay, that's the answer for you, basically. Yeah. Okay, so basically, life is about creating and living experiences that are worth sharing. Steve Jobs, unfortunately, he passed away. So basically, in my context, I use this statement to describe how business coaching you're trying to achieve end of the day. Okay, it's exactly same as what I've been thinking. Is about creating some sort of living experiences for the people so that they go through. It cross in between the mentoring and coaching. Okay, somehow. But here one part is about to share and to learn. You can see the cross down there. It's about learn and to share. Okay, that is something that the practice you do. Now I'm going to share you one too. Okay, about able to use to gain, especially when you using the so-called the CAR. You have some sort of assessing the individual. Yeah, CARE. Remember the care I talked about. At any one point of time, this reflection and gain awareness move is supposed to move. You may heard of things called the Johari window. This is a powerful tool that whereby you also learn to use it. So you know about yourself, you know about others, you know about the unknown to self and others who knows you, and unknown self and unknown to others. Okay, okay. It's a tool to discover sometimes self and the strength, the cultural piece of it in the organization. Okay, this is one tool that we also should address during the business coaching program and so on. Okay, when you're doing it, this is a powerful tool, and you do it rightly and how you communicate. With our case studies on that to help individual to ask the right questions. Of course, by looking that is simple. It's the key part is that each of that box itself. Sorry, I'm not showing it to you. Each of this box itself of this Johari window, yeah, you will see that basically so-called questions to ask. So there are 4 quadrants. Each quadrant have a questions. Okay, so this will be the reflect and gain assessment that you use usually during the second stage, so-called assessment of your team and your group. You can use this tool even for your own family members, knowing your kids, they're growing up at different stages of life. You can use that to open up, have a discussion with your family members and so on. It's just about knowing self and knowing others. Yeah. So that will allow you to able to discuss. There are some questions in each of that quadrant that we use to allow you to pinpoint exactly what will happen, what are the action to be taken, recommended solution, and so on and so forth for each of that boxes. Okay, in the business coaching, we do have that conduct of what are the questions to ask. Okay, before we come into next part. So generally, in a nutshell, whether you are doing business coaching, team coaching, or whatsoever, more of a business related, there are only 3 things that remember. The role that you're going to do in the coach, just to remember there's a process that you're allowing to develop the group of people to reflect and gain the kind of awareness. Yeah. So that is your aim. Remember, we want the commitment and we want the communication to be effective. So we need to build the kind of relationship among the people, especially during now we are in the COVID situation of a lockdown. People still need to work, but how they work, we need to know their strength. We know what they know of, who they able to work with, and so on and so forth. And then we're able to put them to do it together. So the business coaching comes in to help them to identify all this opportunity and strength, the challenge, the option to open up. Yeah. And the key part from the coach point of view is to focus on helping others. That's the key part. They have to take the responsibility, identify, helping the others to identify their own goals and assessing through the tools their strength in area development. So they give them hope. What will be the future like? Okay, with this project. It's unlike the executive coaching. Executive coaching is talking more about the individual of successing into a new position or into something you can do in the future. Okay. Now we got a project to identify this project, how to move this project forward into the future. That's something you already have for quite established, quite so-called identified and able to move forward. That is where the business coaching become important to move that. And other than that, you need to create ownership as well as partnership. That is something that is different from the rest of coaching. Because rest of coaching don't talk much about partnership, other than you talking about life coaching and spiritual coaching, maybe you need a partner. But for the business wise, hardly even you find a partner for that. Here we talk about partnership is more about supplier, customer, whoever in the business that come in to be a part of resource. Yeah. So you also need to think about in all the coaching context, creative conversation that I mentioned about divergent, convergent thinking, a way of approach, non-judgmental space, meaning open up for people to think. In other words, we don't box them out with certain thing, give them a free play, and then we move along as you change. So it has to have a lot of thought-provoking questions. There will be a list of questions, and are able to, as a business coach, you're able to listen, yeah, to help people and explore, reflect, and make decision. Okay, that's where the coach able to, yeah. Okay, so that's part of it. Now there's two books that I would like to recommend for you to really go and pick it up and to read it. So we'll take the a quick one basically to listen to one of these. This is something usually when I conduct a program, I'll bring in a book and with a summary of the book that relate to the topic, and we'll pick up there from discussion. Remember, we talked about the convergent and divergent thing, bring ideas. Books is one way of the approach. Now, these are two books I recommend for you all to think about. Now, let's listen to one of these book that I would like to share. So I hope that you can listen to it. Yeah, it take quite a bit of the time.
The Coaching Effect: What Great Leaders Do to Increase Sales, Enhance Performance, and Sustain Growth, by Bill Ekstrom and Sarah Worth. Measuring Managerial Effectiveness. To a high-performing business, developing talent is the essential function of their managers, rather than just one of their priorities. Managers and their team members have used the term healthy tension to describe how high-performance environments feel. They push themselves and their teams to constantly improve, and being too busy is never an excuse for not getting done what is most important. The success of high-performance teams depends on their coaches. In fact, every growth challenge a business faces is a management issue. Data that measures employee effectiveness is by no means new, especially in sales, where many companies track most every selling activity imaginable. Very seldom is that the case with management, and managerial effectiveness must be measured. For the heads of organizations to know nothing about the activities, behaviors, and overall effectiveness of the role that has the greatest impact on team performance, the manager, is ludicrous. Common sense dictates that nobody comes to work with a goal of failing, but the manager's role is arguably the most precarious regarding longevity. Companies are quick to release managers, and a revolving door is set in motion, especially in sales departments. A big reason for this chaotic turnover is that nobody helps them understand how to be effective, nor is anyone measuring their performance inputs or outcomes. Time and again, senior executives have no idea how their managers are spending their days, or even how they should be spending them. Even managers themselves question if they're focused on the activities that produce the best team results. The growth rings. Growth only occurs in a state of discomfort, and leaders at every level have the greatest impact on the discomfort level of their teams. To sustain growth, maximize performance of your business and teams, attract the best talent, and ensure that your organization remains relevant in today's and especially tomorrow's workplace, resources must be committed to the continual development and quantification of managerial effectiveness. The goal of this commitment is to get managers to behave and drive results in a way that resembles a high-growth coach as opposed to a performance-limiting manager. The best leaders are unique in their coaching, and either intentionally or unintentionally, they create or embrace an environment of discomfort as a growth mechanism. During the journey to understand how coaching affects the performance of individuals and teams, a model was discovered that shows why exponential and sustained growth only occurs in a state of discomfort. This model is called the growth rings. Understanding the growth rings can change how you parent, coach, view adversity, and think about human behavior. The growth rings illustrate differing environments that exist in our world and how they either promote or hinder growth. Each ring encompasses one of four primary environments: stagnation, order, complexity, and chaos.
Okay, good. So that is what I want to just to share a bit for you. This is almost about 15 minutes of the conversation. We talk about the summary of this whole book itself. Yeah. So during the actual program, we will share you the detail. There will be a lot of this discussion and learn the best practices from the book. So basically, this is a coaching effect. It's a very good book talking about the approaches, encompasses a lot of coaching methods and approach. Yeah. The other one is the respective leader, because you're talking about relationship, especially like Johari window we talk about. And this is a very recent book released, I think last year. Okay, they won some award recently. Yeah, so it's a good book that you all can pick it up and to read about. Yeah, so this will be the process that we usually go through to develop people and to sustain the learning. Yeah. Okay, the next part I quickly touch on some program upcoming in the 2 days program in June 2021. This will be called the career coaching. In fact, last webinar, if you to track back, you can see this program being talked about. I just to share with you in a snapshot, which I think Reveres Academy will share you further on that. It will consist of 2 parts. Basically, it will be conducted over a 4 weekend, Saturday. Yeah, because we're going to do online. So we do not want to drag on to an 8-hour program per day, which is very taxing for many of the people. But rather we do it 4 weekend so that you allow you to able to absorb and reflect, again, especially during this non-physical contact. We need sort of people to go back and reflect upon certain activities and so on and so forth. Okay, this will be upcoming then. Yeah. So this is a process that we're going through. Okay, it's a coaching process, framework. There's some practical learning. Yeah, there will be some sort of mentor. Yeah, program and so on and so forth. And we also allow you to have some practical, because for this actually we have one part we will actually do a certification. We not just leave it here. This is only about career coaching skill, but this is a framework we're going through for the 2 days. Yeah, so this will be shared with you. Yeah, so these are the benefit of the program. Why are we going to be a career coach? Yeah, for those who are interested, you can pick it up from Reveres Academy. They'll share much more with you what exactly this program is about, and this will benefit the people across the organization, from internal and external. Yeah, those are you coming from a university background. Those are maybe you're doing a career services. For those are internal, you will use it to help your staff to build succession planning. Okay, this was something we're going to address inside. There'll be some career tools that to be shared, some career questions to be used by the leaders. Yeah, so not necessarily to be just targeted at HR professional. We're targeting at all managerial, line managerial, that you have people to need to coach them into the career, especially before the so-called the performance management activities or exercise that you'll be doing per year, so-called annual performance review and so on and so forth. Okay, so that will be the part of it. Okay, now than that, we have the Q&A here. So I will appeal to you any of the question and answers that you all need. Yeah, we'll be having that. Yep. Let me stop sharing here. I pass it my presentation to Reveres to continue. Thank you.
Okay. So far, there are 2 questions over here. Is HR department of a company responsible for the business coaching?
Is that a first question?
Yes.
Okay, thanks. No, because business coaching is go beyond. Okay, there are 2 parts to look at it. The HR actually comes in to process manage it, so that they can able to identify the behavior, the people, in terms of performance matching. Remember I talked about the talent map, MAP, the talent mapping and so on. the HR may provide certain tools if they already have to further to supplement the tools that we're going to show to the business coaches. Okay, so that will be aligned with the organization. So usually the HR comes in if you want to contextualize, customize the program in a way along with the situation of the organization. Now, take one instance. If your organization going through an M&A situation, the HR play a very important part here to ensure that the culture piece well integrated, while the people are also well integrated. Here whereby the HR actually play a very significant role. If you let's say per normal kind of situation, not necessarily HR will be taking the lead, but the HR will be the so-called the catalyst, okay, a part of that kind of development. But mainly the business coaching, we focus on the business operational people to take the lead. Okay, the HR is using that maybe to identify the future leader, the better leader, or whatsoever required for the organization for the future organization development and organizational design. Okay, that's my input to you. Yeah. Okay, that's the first question.
Okay.
Thanks.
The second question is coaching and mentoring the same thing?
Okay, there'll be a overlapping at time. When you're doing some time, when you're doing so-called the coaching, there will be some instances of mentoring. The difference is lies here. Mentoring go beyond the scope of the required context. Because I mentioned business coaching, we are talking about the project. Okay. Now, for instance, someone in the team said, can we capitalize on this project that we make money out of this project? Or maybe this project can turn into a business by itself, spin off. Now, that is something that we are not within that scope of the business, but it's a good idea. Okay, it's a good idea. For instance, I share with you this. You may heard of this Atos Origin, this company, ATOS, ORIGIN, Atos Origin. It's a spin-off. It's a spin-off of Philips Electronics. Okay, when Philips Electronics created their own like band scorecard system and so on, they found that hey, this business can be so-called spin-off as a secondary business to sell that idea too. Okay, so they think of that. Okay, example, even Motorola. Many people do not know Motorola has a lighting business, lighting aside light bulbs, but it's only more for commercial. Again, they think about because you are in the light bulb business, can we go into a much bigger consumer market? So they came out another business called InFocus. If you are using the projector called InFocus, that is from Motorola actually. Yeah. So again, all these are spin-off. Now, these are areas that is not in the business focus, but somehow the mentoring is about going to the future. Now, take it in this simple sense. If you got a stone, you throw into a pond, you see water ripple and grow. Okay, it's still on inside a pond. Okay, inside the pond. Yeah. So the kind of coaching, what I call it, is still a coaching method. You are actually sharing with them the same platform, and people coming out for fun to you in the same context, in the same platform. That is still coaching. If someone to ask you something into the future or beyond the scope of this business, it's like a tornado. The question go beyond, go up. You know, it's like a whirlpool. Boom, you go far and beyond what you're asking for. So those questions, you are doing mentoring. So in terms of this, when sometimes the question being asked as a business coach may not fully restricted to that project or the work itself. It go beyond. That's why the divergent and convergent come in. Sometimes the divergent thing to open up another new area of thoughts. Then sometimes you need to do mentoring. So mentoring is about the individual enlightenment. Okay, not just about engagement, not about achievement, not about just engagement. You talk about enlightenment, go beyond. Okay, someone think of something else, pull you aside, ask a question. Can that something that we do investment? Can we get invested into this business? We have not thought of that. Okay, then you need to mentor them, saying that, well, how it goes about, how they're going to pick up that. And the key thing is when you mentor, usually you don't give solution. Okay. Sometimes coaches in the business culture, you give them some direction and some possible solution way of doing it. Mentoring, you do not give solution. You give them questions. You ask them questions. Okay. For instance, one of the mentor questions, this person has been assigned to do a project overseas, okay, on a 2-3 years basis. The individual may have signed the contract with the company saying go overseas. As a mentor, you may ask a question that he or she may not have thought of. You may ask a person, is this contract you sign is a one-way ticket? What will happen when the contract expires? Where would you be? So these are questions you ask the person to enlighten him without him thinking about originally. Okay? So mentor asks a lot of questions about the future. What will happen next? Okay? But I can't provide you a solution. You have to think about the solution. Okay? So while coaching, we can give you a set of solutions to benchmark, to relate to. So that's the difference between coaching and mentoring. I hope I can share you this example. Okay, thank you. Any more, please?
Next one, how can a company be aware that they need coaching, or how can we introduce this benefit to them?
Okay, good question. That I think a lot of companies are looking for that answer also. First and foremost, again going back, what will be your business mission? If you are the one who are managing this business, okay, or leading this thing, ask yourself, what will be the future of the business like? And after that, looking back at your team, okay, how are your people prepared? Do they have the capability? Or are there along this change, along this direction, something happened? Are the people able to manage it? Okay, so how would that be? A lot of time we say we prepare them by training, but training doesn't give you that readiness. Training only give you a short term of so-called a prevention, that's all. But you need to use prediction. So that's where the coaching come in. Will actually help you to do a prediction and also proactively prepare for the change that may come in. Okay, remember I told you I work in SHRPI. Yeah, they know they are being post-integrated. Okay, but they cannot foresee the change that may come in if the two culture of the two companies didn't work together. What will be the consequence? Okay, so they prepare to coach the people based upon a platform that allow them to start talking and speaking, and for the readiness of the things that they cannot expect. So if you were to ask yourself in your organization, you think that the business is going forward, but there'll be a lot of unknowns, a lot of things that we do not know of, then you need to put a team ready to coach them to get ready for the changes. Because coaching has a benefit. You're cross-developing them at the same time. Okay? At any one point of time, you can put people across the business to support one another. Okay, in case of adversity. Now, today, we do not know what will happen, like COVID-19. Someone may caught a virus suddenly, out of nowhere. You cannot predict. Then who's going to support that team? If you have a coaching process in place, you already put the people on the kind of so-called a direction, so they are confidently can pick up that, and the coach can help them to build the confidence, okay, and their commitment to able to get things done. Okay, that I will say that. How would you think about getting coaching introduced into your organization? Okay, so it's not a complicated process. I think Reveres have resources there in Cambodia to help you to sit down with those who are interested to bring the program on board. That can be discussed and see how we approach it. Probably we will give you a kind of profiling, okay, a kind of assessment. You know where you are, then take you from where you are to be where you will be into the future, and that's the way they need. Okay, that's I can share with you how we can be done. Okay, thank you.
Okay, the next question. We are a coach, then we found that a company need training to staff. Could we ourselves being as trainer? I don't quite understand this question.
Maybe I may interpret it mean that they are doing coaching. Can they do training at the same time? Is that
Maybe.
okay? If I will answer that question in that way, coaching and training are different. Okay, let it be clear. Training is about a skill. You're trying to impart a skill. Okay, it could be a technical skill. It could be a soft skill. Yeah. Now, skill are something that usually is within a framework. Okay, maybe a competency framework, it may be a OJT on the job, and so on and so forth. Yeah, coaching is go beyond that. Okay, we how to apply the skill, that is a key part. So usually you will do training first, then followed by coaching. I will say that. Yeah, or it could be the organization do not know what sort of training they go for. Then you need to coach the people to understand what sort of training do they need. Then you coach the leader to identify the training needs, the training outcomes, and so on, to build the training roadmap, the training plan, and so on. Then you need to coach them. That will be so-called what we are saying. That we are saying that what will be the direction they want. You coach them, okay? So they'll build the kind of right behavior, the right mindset to set it up. While on the other hand, you can do the training, then followed by coaching, because after training, it's about learning by doing. Then you got projects, okay, after the training. Then you need to coach them on individual project along the way. Okay, I hope you can answer you maybe probably that way. What is the difference between coaching and training coming in? Yeah,
Yeah.
answer that questions. Yep.
Okay. The next one is that I see you have been with many conglomerate. From your past experience, which company, whether CP, Siemens, Motorola, or GE, you found that have the best business model and people development? What have you done to improve them?
Okay, basically all organizations, the culture are different. Like Siemens is more German, okay, they are more close, they are more strict, they are more structured, they have system to follow. Okay, so in order, like let's say for Siemens case, when I was doing that, they have a lot of test system, a lot of certifications, a lot on the job, and so on and so forth. Yeah, very tailored to according to the requirement. Now, what we did, let's say for Siemens, basically is again that how they're going to interact using that be aligned with the so-called their customer or even the supplier, okay, so that they're able to adopt something that they're able to find that is good. So I'll take out the best practices for them, so having that recognition. Okay, so in other words, though they are well known for their innovation way of doing things and so on, we would like to create so-called some sort of best practices to be recognized. Yeah, those are like the European. Then come to Motorola. Yeah, Motorola, to be honest, they're very people oriented. They're more people developer. So that's why in the past they had the 40-hour training in Motorola. They spend a lot of money. Okay, they said $1 the return is a $3 return US dollar. Okay, to them training is important and developing people are important. Okay, but that is only within Motorola. But we also again using that success story to build on so-called more successes by gaining awards. Like in Singapore, back in 1991, was there. We helped to develop and got the Singapore Training Award. That's first award. The second award that also helped them to do it, yeah, is called the Total Productive Maintenance. We use it to drive. We won the Singapore Productivity Award, the second award. Now, these two awards, yes, we gain it. To maintain it is a challenge. We continue doing it. The key part is we turn it into an EVP, okay, employer value proposition, so that you can translate into employer of choice, so that we do hiring, we do our marketing, all aligned with that. So in other words, things like that, we help organizations to have this model, okay, aligned with the so-called the business, what do they need to anchor into the new play field. Because back in the 1990s, Motorola is trying to enter into the China market. They're looking into the Asia for certain platform to be successful, so that they can benchmark and do leverage and to allow maybe the China market that people recognize that they have good stuff, they have good things to learn about, they have good things to use, so that they were able to engage. Yeah, So that is about the marketing part of it. Yeah. Now, General Electric basically is well known under the Jack Welch era. When I was there, personally, I met him when I was managing the Cotton View, the CLD, the so-called Cotton View. It's called Corporate Leadership Development. I was the regional director for the South Asia and this area part. So basically, in the GE is helping customer to win, and they have a lot of merger and acquisition during that time. Yeah. So what we are trying to transform is that how to transform company align with General Electric the way we do, and so that we understand and they align with us. So those kind of business model, we actually coach a lot of the customer and supplier through program like called CAP, Change Acceleration Process. We invited some of them over to US and to do some benchmarking and understand that the whole process, how things are being done and so on. So we lead them through so-called leadership development, business development, yeah, understand the GE way of things are doing, the so-called best practices. Yeah, we bring in things that we share from different business group. Then we bring up the so-called communication. Yeah. So for the CP group, Churro Procurement is very family business related. As I mentioned earlier, we want people to open up. Okay, do not be so close because it's a family business. We actually have to think about open up new businesses because it's a family business. We do not want the core businesses to be the same. Well, even to keep the CP name, we will go into diversify into new businesses and so on. So that allowing the next generation to take up the new business to move along, even though agriculture, food, and so on is their core business. Yeah, they are well known in the feed mill and so on. Yeah, so they build on all this. So the success story is to how can in CP itself, basically they have the three things: for the country, for the people, and for the company. Yeah. So in like Thailand, they have built up this so-called a university for the 7-Eleven store. Yeah. To train the people coming out from the different part of the city, come to be trained and get ready. And they start off as an intrapreneurship program that eventually translate into an entrepreneurship program, which the company have this vision that hopefully the Thai people can sustain their livelihood by being an entrepreneur through a proper system. Okay, it's not just selling things without knowing financial management or knowing how the market like and so on. So there's a lot of kind of coaching helping the people, okay, along that way. Yeah. So these are some big conglomerates, I would say that basically. Yeah. So you want to find out more? Well, we can talk about it basically when we start to the program and share some cases and so on. Thank you.
Okay, I think William, we answer one last question. It's very late for you. This question is: can we play the role of a coach and trainer? I think this is should not play a lot of role as a consultant when we provide services to a company.
Right. Okay. What happened here? A trainer and a consultant actually have some differences. As I said earlier already, the trainer is about imparting about a training. Okay. Usually a trainer do not customize the program. Okay. Usually they don't. They just pick a program and then you conduct. And times the follow-up is that they do not have so-called follow-up on the projects. Yeah. Now, when between a coach and a consultant, there are people or professionals doing that. Okay. Even myself coming as a consultant, I don't come in as a trainer. Okay. We're coming in consulting and we'll open up the mind and allowing them the new ideas, how things can be done, best practices, and so on and so forth. Okay. Now, a trainer basically, they have a standard to follow, quite structured. Sometimes for the coaching, it's not that standard. You have a process, but not a standard. Things like more of our questioning, more of facilitating. So the learning by doing or learning by questioning. So the coach actually entice or motivate the people to learn. So they are teaching them the process of learning, in other words. So you're talking about in a similar way, well, they are still teaching the coach, but teaching them the process of learning. Teach you how to learn. Okay? Once you know how to learn, whatever thing that comes into the context, you are able to learn. Okay? While the trainer, okay, you are teaching you, okay, how to do. okay, but not how to learn on a specific area. Okay, so it's very specialized. Okay, that's why in the so-called the human resource development area, there are 3 areas you should consider: training, development, and education. Now, you're talking about coaching, will fall likely to be the development and education level. Okay, so while the trainer more focused on the training area, okay, they have a set of structure to follow. Okay, just think about it. One is the content of learning, one is the process of learning, which is the coach. Okay, I will put that in a nutshell for you to think about. Thank you.
Well, thank you, William.
You're welcome.
Today we have a very nice talk from William here, and we learned a lot from him. Now, for those participants who are interested, look out for our coming course that William has also introduced on career coaching. We will be sending out this information to all participants, that starting date and the price. So do watch out, join us, and learn from William. He has many more experiences to share. Thank you so much for all attending this morning. And thank you, William, again.
Yeah, welcome.
Bye.
See you. Have a good day. Be safe and have a good
Yeah,
weekend.
same to you, same to every participant.
Guys, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.